Well, Poke, it's been a while, eh?
Yeah, it's been a minute or two.
Yeah, like I think this is the first show that we've done, like in our 500 episodes. But it's just been you and me.
I know, right?
Yeah. So, well, we've kind of half killed the 30-second there, 30 seconds. So why don't you do the dance and throw yourself on mute?
I don't know if I want to do the dance.
You want to dance?
I always want to dance, but I don't know if I want to dance. You know what
Uh,
I'm saying?
it's not like I'm asking you to do the truffle shuffle. All right. Well, fine. Be that way. There we go. There's the dance.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Knights of Deathbridge proudly brings to you Warcraft Nightly News with your hosts, Derek Scott and Poke Soul. Good evening and welcome to Warcraft Nightly News, the only podcast that happens to celebrate Thanksgiving on two separate occasions. I'm your host, Eric Scott. With me is the man, the myth, the legend, and not playing his VR, Pokebear. On this week's episode, we've got breaking news. We're going to be talking about 7.1, and we're going to be talking all about Blizzcon and our ideas as to what we're going to see and all of that sort of fun stuff. So, Poke, why don't you take yourself off mute?
You went straightforward on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of did. I really did. We've got such a huge show that legitimately we don't necessarily have a lot of time. So, first thing, breaking news. Just announced this afternoon, Ian Hazzikostas is now the lead game director for World of Warcraft. Tom Chilton is stepping away and doing something else. We don't quite know what it is as of this present moment, but it is official. Ian Hazzikostas is the game director. So what do you think about this, Poke?
I mean, I think from our conversations in the past that neither of us are going to have much of an issue with this. Any time that I've been playing a game that I truly enjoy and I've seen a switch in the in any of the leads, I mean, especially lead developer, it's kind of disheartening. But I don't feel that way this time. I feel like Ian is going to do a fantastic job. If anything, the game should, if it continues the way that he's been, become more transparent. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but hopefully that'll reflect somewhat in BlizzCon. I know it's super close, and
we're 3.5 weeks away. Well, 3 weeks away from this point.
I'm sure they've got a lot of this stuff already planned, so we may not see any real transparency with Ian at this specific BlizzCon, but as we move forward, hopefully the game will just become more and more transparent as to what they're doing and where we're going and how things are happening.
Well, it is quite possible that we're going to see even more transparency at BlizzCon, because it kind of, the way that this is all playing out is it seems like this was the plan all along. Right? Nobody wanted to take away from Metzen's retirement, so they didn't make any of these major announcements. Back about a year ago, we got to announce the fact that Ian Hazzikostas became the assistant game director. And now we're seeing so much more transparency at this present moment, so I can only expect bigger and better things in the way of online and social communication, because let's face it, Ian has been one of the most outspoken developers along the way, and it's fantastic. So I can't wait to see what is next and what he has planned going forward. We've spoken the praises of him. I think, have we ever said anything bad?
Not that I can recall. Now I know that sometimes we go on some rants or tirades, and some things are said that are very emotional. We're kind of known for that.
We've never had an emotional episode ever.
But I can't recall anything that was terribly serious. Nothing like some other people we've talked about. Not gonna mention any names.
Corey Stockton. Oh, did I drop that name there like it was salt? But okay. So let's take a different approach. Let's try saying something that isn't so good about Mr. Hazakosis. Here, I'll even start. He looks really bad in that Legion t-shirt, or that Legion button-up shirt that they make them wear.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the Legion button-up shirts were pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought they were too, but with his hair coloring and skin coloring, it just kind of
clashes. Okay, yeah. I got you. I think that he is. I don't know. I can't even.
You can't even, right? Like I know
he's done so well. Like I can't even.
Yeah, we're grasping at straws here, trying to find something
which is very
negative.
Rare. Like
yeah,
normally we have tons of negative things to say about other people.
But apparently this is the new Green Jesus. So Mr. Hazakosis, congratulations. We're big fans, and we'd love to have you come on the show and talk about your new position and stuff like that, even though I know you're not going to, but it'd be cool if you did. We got a community spotlight coming up this month, and we could do it right after BlizzCon. Just saying, just throwing that out there. Yeah, that's right, I did that. Mic drop. So Poke 7.1 has been on the PTR now for a couple of weeks, and well, I know that you're a little bit more excited than the average person. So we're going to talk about the Mega Dungeon of Karazhan. We're going to touch on the new mini raid. I think I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant here, and then we're gonna hit up the class tuning changes. So let's first start with the Mega Dungeon of Karazhan, and the reason why we need to start there is because that was your original heyday.
Yes, I think you refer to it sometimes with myself and others that it is our high school football days. And this, even though you've always said we will never be able to relive that, I kind of feel like Blizzard's giving it to us. Like, we're going to be able to relive that. It's like the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like, yeah.
You go back and you relive that now. Hopefully, when we go into the raid, all of our characters won't weigh 30 pounds more and be 10 years older. But it's
and
one of
so
those
much
situations.
less hair.
Yeah, exactly. The dungeon itself, and I've mentioned this a couple times, it's terribly lengthy. I've read a group going in there decently geared that doesn't know the fights. You're looking at 2, in some cases even 3 hours. A group that's well geared that does know the fight, you're still looking at an hour and a half. But you said that the lockout will carry over, which is something that's really good in that aspect, because it's really kind of hard for some people to dedicate an entire hour and a half at times. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of Mythic groups at this point, especially Mythic Pluses, that can end up going an hour or an hour and a half. So it's not, or sometimes even longer. So it's not necessarily, a bad thing per se. It's I think their fear was taken away from the raid and not having the level of bosses they did, which the second half of this is different per se.
Well,
similar
I think it
ideas.
It has to be, doesn't it, on that in this particular instance? Because, I mean, how do you take that was a 25-man raid, wasn't it?
No, it was only 10.
Okay, so how do you take a 10-man raid, scale it up, and then cut half of the damage and half of the buffs? Like, That
Well, I
to
mean,
me,
the first half of it though is completely, almost. I don't want to say completely identical, but almost identical. The
yeah,
bosses are changed slightly, but they're still the same bosses. So
yeah, they rework the opera so that we actually have different operas now.
yes, there are 3 new operas. And like once you, it's kind of cool because once you beat the opera event, you go backstage. All of the guys from the old opera events are standing back there, and you can go up and interact with them, talk to them. They'll tell you their story and things like that. And apparently, as you're killing the spectators on your way in,
Yeah,
because you have to come in the back way, so you have to kill the spectators to get to the stage.
yeah.
They all drop these things called bad reviews, which apparently, like, your entire inventory will fill up with them. And the reason being is they ran into a situation where people were trying to farm those mobs on PTR because they were dropping tons of gold, and you could AoE them down really fast. So instead of like nerfing the gold or making the enemies harder, they just made them all drop these bad reviews for the old events. So your entire inventory, if you try to farm it, will fill up with bad reviews. And it becomes a seriously annoying situation. So I myself thought that was great of Blizzard instead of doing something like normal and making it harder or taking the money away. They were just like, fine, we'll just make them all drop bad reviews on you.
That's hilarious. Actually, I did not.
Really
I honestly did not know that.
So you can hear all the old ones, like they'll talk about how they got bad reviews and how it was, they moved on to these new actors, and it's some neat stuff. So yeah, it looks really cool. I cannot wait to try it.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, MMO Champion and Wowhead both have full in-depth previews of this particular dungeon, and well, I've ran Karazhan just to say that I did it. Now I actually get to relive some of that Burning Crusade love. That all of the fanboys poke are totally poke fanboy Burning Crusade.
Well, and see now, and here's the thing though, like it's not just that Burning Crusade is my favorite expansion, because it is, and it is the best expansion. This one's a close second. In as we go forward, depending on some other announcements, which we'll talk about later, this may become my favorite. But thus far, BC's still winning. Also, Kara was the first raid that I led and really got pulled into. I raided all through Vanilla WoW and did all of the raids in Vanilla WoW. But going into Burning Crusades, we had left our larger 40-man guild. Yes, 40 people. Yeah, back in the day when we had to have 40 people. And just like 8 or 10 of us had came together and decided, let's start our own guild and let's start raiding and let's do the 10-mans, because that was the point where they were starting to do 10-man content, 25-man content, and the rumor had started to float they were going to make it to where you could run 10 or 25 with Wrath. And so we were like, well, let's start looking at 10-man content, and we'll partner with other guilds to do 25s. And that's what we did. So Kara was really, that's the first place I tanked. That's the first place I led a raid. That's like, in a lot of ways, Karazhan was where I busted out of being a raider and into being a raid leader for the next 2 or 3 expansions. So
yeah.
I can't wait to go back and see it again, especially like there's supposed to be a bonus boss which they haven't even talked about on PTR yet, which, man, I hope it's the same bonus boss that was there in the raid, because he was incredible.
Which was the bonus boss?
The Bone Dragon.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Yes, so you go out on the balcony and you fight the Bone Dragon, and man, he was super cool. Now, it looks like the first bosses are going to be your standard Morose, Maiden, Toonsman, and the Opera event. And then after that, everything gets kind of flip-flopped upside down, and the last half of the instance is new and incredible stuff. Again, similar, like the chess event is still a chess event. It's just not the same chess event.
No, it's just checkers.
So, and that would be awesome.
That would be.
5-man checkers raid is chess. So yeah, it looks incredible though. I cannot wait to go in there and try it out. And I mean, I haven't even looked at the gear, honestly, so I don't even know what the gear looks like coming from Kara, but I just want to go in there and mess around and experience that over again.
Alrighty. Well, we also found out that we are getting a mini raid. Now, before I go into my rant here, what do you think of what do you think of this mini raid? Because we're going into Helheim.
Well, first of all, I think it's a cool idea. I like the lore basis behind it. Like we had talked at one point, one of the bosses is Guarm, and it is a three-headed dog. It's Cerberus. Yeah, let's be honest here. But I like the lore behind it. I like the ideas behind it. I don't know what your rant is going to be about. So before you go on your rant, I assume being upset, because your rants tend to be upset type things. I'm gonna say I have no problem with a mini raid. I've never had problems with them releasing a raid that even had one boss. As long as that's not all we get. Like, if it's like, here's a mini raid, and then we're gonna give you another raid like 6 months from now, that's gonna be like, seriously, guys, like, come on. I mean, they as far as I'm concerned, they can release 2 or 3 bosses here and there every few months from now until the end of time. Yeah. We don't ever have to see another 13 boss raid. I won't care. It's just like come on, let's be real here, and let's not try to get people to shut up by releasing 1 or 3 bosses every 6 months instead of going a year. Let's spread out the content, sure, but let's keep it flowing. Let's not have these huge droughts, even if it is smaller droughts with less things to do. That would still be a drought. So
fair enough. All right, now my rant's going to be a little bit different, because I'm not necessarily angry about it, but it's more of the whole what the fuck were they thinking kind of a moment. So we are getting a 3-man raid, but a 13-man fucking dungeon that is going to take an entire goddamn week to get through if you're just a normally geared grouping of people. What the fuck were they thinking? Why wouldn't they have done it the other way around? Like, make a smaller dungeon and make it a longer raid. But no, let's go ahead and see how this plays out. Let's give somebody the chance to do a dungeon on top of umpteen bazillion goddamn world quests. An expansion that has more content than every expansion that we've ever played, and give them a 13-person boss dungeon that is going to be mythic only. That seems ludicrous. Cool, absolutely cool, but ludicrous. And then on top of it, to put in just a very small raid. I have liked in the past all of the, when they did do the small raids like VOA, like Barden Hold. Those were cool. And then over time we got extra bosses in them and shit like that. Great idea. But there was never ever a time in which we have ever had a dungeon that had more than 5 fucking bosses. Now we're going to create a dungeon that is going to take you multiple nights, and as cool of an idea as it is, seems a little ass backwards, but I can't wait to see how it's all going to play out. The idea behind why we're going into Helheim is kind of great. And they set it up very well. Incredibly well. Through both the Maw of Souls and through the Halls of Valor. So I can get behind this. In fact, actually, it's way better than what they did with Barden Hold and Vault of Arcanon, or Vault of Asrapi, whatever. I don't know what the A actually stands for. I don't think I ever did. I just know that was the first raid I ever led, and wow, I didn't know what I was doing back then. Just saying. those people that were in some of those raids that I ran. I'm really sorry. I'm way better now. But yeah, so that's it. That's kind of my rant. Because it seems weird. It really does seem weird. And there will
See, and I thought it was strange not to keep Kara as a raid, because I mean, I feel like it would have been a really easy way to extend that raid content, and we didn't need a mega dungeon, but I guess also a mega dungeon is something new. Now, I did find it funny that we're adding words to dungeon like mega, and we're adding words to raid like mini.
Yeah, it's like it's totally backwards.
Really,
like
I was just like, but I mean, if they would have came out with a 13 boss raid and called it a mega raid, people would have been like, "What the hell is that?" Like we've had 13 boss raids before.
Exactly.
a three boss dungeon would have been like, "That's not a mini dungeon. That's a regular dungeon." What are you talking about?
Well, okay, now wait. Next expansion, Wrath of the Lich King 2, Worth of the Lich King. We're going to get a mega dungeon, and it's going to have 28 bosses. 28 bosses. Okay. It's a 28 boss raid. They're not going to be overly complicated. In fact, they might have 1 or 2 mechanics, but it's going to take you 17 nights just to clear it.
We're going to get a mini dungeon where you don't have any bosses. You just go in it and run in circles for an hour, and then you get loot and you leave.
I believe we already have that. That's
every dungeon and regular raid in the game right now.
No. More importantly, Violet Hole, because all you do is run around in a fucking circle. I like the updated version of it, but man, they could have made it not so circular. I mean, now. Before we get into the class tunings and stuff like that, because we're on the topic of Legion and how fantastically awesome it really is. By the way, I totally disagree with you. At this present moment, even if they told me that tomorrow we were going to get the final raid and it was going to be Archimon 3.0 as the final boss, I still say that this is the best expansion. And I waited a long time to actually say that out loud. I have not found any major problems with this expansion. I love the lore behind it. I love all of the changes that they have made. In fact, actually, this is the meatiest expansion that we have had to date. And I can only imagine what they're going to announce at BlizzCon. And it's going to probably be mind-blowing at this present moment because all bets are off. So, yeah, well done. But yeah, no, Megan Dungeon kind of weirded out by it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So, class tuning. Well, this is kind of one of those times where I scratch my head, okay? Because back when they were doing all of those developer Q&As and stuff like that, they said that they weren't going to do any major class tunings at a patch. They were just going to do them. Well, 7.1 has more class tuning than most freaking patches to begin with. And I'm just like, Christ, guys, you're making an entirely different class again. Like, priests.
Well, but we do need it. Like, there are definitely there's definitely a huge separation in characters right now, which is weird because even after this buff that they had recently, where some classes got buffed quite considerably,
35% to a shaman. And they're still not.
But we're still, like the elemental shaman is still low on the list, like because a lot of classes that were already powerful got somewhat buffed too, and then some classes that were powerful just got the crap nerfed out of them. So, it's a situation where I feel like we do need it, which was never. I don't think I've ever said that before. I don't think I've ever said that we need the classes to be tuned ever in my entire WoW career.
Yeah,
but it's bad right now. There's definitely a separation there.
Yeah. So okay, while we're on the topic of shamans and stuff like that, they're actually not getting buffed. They're actually getting nerfed.
Yeah, I know.
But it is more to the restoration side of things, and they're actually doing the greatest buff that you guys do desperately need, which is they're changing the way that Healing Surge works. They're making it so that you actually can heal because you don't have a lot of defensive cooldowns. And when we're in a mythic dungeon and it is easier to have you go as a healer on the final boss of Eye of Azura and have two healers rather than watching you get nuked every 2 seconds, was kind of one of those things. The biggest amount of changes that are going out are going to looks like holy priests. Holy priests are getting actually a speed buff to all of their spells, and just an overall spell power increase. Prayer mending is actually getting buffed. What? Okay. We have 2 holy priests in our raid right now. Okay, we're running 20 man heroic, and we have 2 holy priests because nobody wants to play disc. And they're our top healers, and that seems to be like one of those things that I'm not getting. Like the output of a holy priest is nuts. I have healed beside a holy priest, and I can't keep up on my druid. Now, okay, I'm not a very good healer, and I have no problems admitting that. I'm a big enough man to admit that I am not a very good healer. In fact, actually, I'm surprised I can heal at all. So I'm confused on this one. Like, have you noticed or seen anything in forums saying that, holy priests are weak?
Well, no, not necessarily, but here's what I have noticed. And again, this is something else that I'm saying this expansion that I don't know that I've ever said in any other expansion. To me, gear is, and I know we've talked about tier gear meaning too much, like tier bonuses.
Yeah.
But to me, gear is just like and especially some classes like Elemental Shaman, for instance. We're talking, item level 850, you're pulling 200 to 220k DPS. If you can get your item level at 875, you're capable of pulling 400k at 25 item level, which 25 item levels is a lot. I do understand that, but to double your DPS, like that's ridiculous, honestly. And what makes it ridiculous is there are some classes like that, and there are some classes not like that. And that's
kind of what I was like hoping to see some of this balancing off.
I wonder if that's not the same thing happening with holy priests. Once you hit a certain gear point, you just blow up, and they're trying to get the ones that are getting there to continue moving in that direction, if that makes sense. And I know that sounds weird, but I was reading an article where they talked about the classes that have actually got to 110 and continued playing their character, and like priest was really low on the list, monk was really low on the list, paladins were like number 1 on the list, which I'm assuming Ashbringer has done that for them, because I mean, honestly, I guess I've seen some holy paladins that are doing fairly well, but most of the prot paladins I've seen seem to be struggling to some extent. Retribution paladins are okay, but they're not topping meters that I've seen. And again, this is all very opinion oriented and just what I've seen running different things. Because yes, occasionally you'll run across someone who's good with their class, and no matter what class they're playing, they're heading towards the top of a list, and that's going to happen. I'm talking overall across the board. Yes, I've ran with a couple of prop paladins that were very decent, but the average normal prop paladin seems to be struggling with staying alive, and that's, it's one of those things where
Okay, now
maybe they're trying to help them get there and not necessarily help them after they're there.
yeah. Okay, now let's break that one down, because it seems to be more like back in Mists of Pandaria, where there was no such thing as a mediocre monk tank. Is it that the rotation and stuff like that seems to be more complicated or tougher to master?
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just all around. Like, again, it's the gear level. Like, once you hit a certain level, your class levels out and you're okay. You're still not great, but you're okay. But until you hit that gear level, you're just getting your face smashed. And at least with the prop paladins, like, there's obviously other classes that have similar issues. It's like I said, elemental shaman at 850, you're okay DPS. At 875, you're killing it. So, same thing with a lot of other classes that I've seen out there. And then there are some, just like always, like the hunters, or for the most part hunters, aren't climbing at all really with gear. They start out at a really nice DPS and they kind of stay there, even getting gear throughout the beginning of this expansion.
Yeah,
they're climbing, but not huge jumps in between there. So
yeah, and really, I hope that they smooth that out, because it is, from a raid leader's point of view, it is the most frustrating thing ever. Or from a player standpoint, that is also the most frustrating thing, because one day you can be the lowest person on the DPS chart, get a couple of pieces of gear to drop from the world boss and world quests, and all of a sudden just jump so dramatically all the way up to like the top DPS overnight. And that is frustrating for all of those people that don't have those massive gear jumps, and stuff like that. You should be able to see a natural slow progression up that DPS chart, rather than all of a sudden one day I'm the lowest, next day I'm the top. Yay. That's not as rewarding as working at it and getting to these little breakpoints where you get 5,000 more DPS, or 6,000 more DPS and stuff like that. And that makes people very leery to play some of these classes that have the gear jumps and the massive gear jumps. I noticed it the last week with you, and you tacked on 7 item levels in the course of the week, and you went from being on the lower end of our DPS chart all the way up to, in certain cases, you were our top DPS in major burst. You broke 1 million multiple times, and then tapered off, and then came back up and tapered off, and stuff like that. And I get it's the nature of the shaman.
Yeah, there's a lot of classes like that, and like the Retribution Paladin. Once you hit item level 865, you fly up the meter. Until you hit there, you're struggling. The reason I keep mentioning Retribution Paladin and Elemental Shaman is Elemental Shaman is what I'm playing now, and Retribution Paladin is what I've been looking at to level as my second character, because of Ashbringer. No real other reason besides that.
No, because it's the flavor of the month. You want to play the belly button this expansion.
And, with Elemental Shaman, like, it's you burst, and then your damage just sinks for the next 2 minutes, and then you burst, and your damage sinks for the next 2 minutes. Like, it's the nature of the class, and it's going to take some time to get things worked out. And we all asked, me and you included in this, we asked for classes to feel different from each other, and we have to expect, with them feeling different, that we're going to see, marksman hunters at the bottom of a list pulling 290,000 DPS when a demonology warlock can pull 400k. Just looking at some DPS rankings on some different sites here, 100k is a big difference, especially when you're looking at rankings like this, because that means a really good marksman hunter is probably pulling 315, versus a Demonology Warlock that's really good is pulling 415. So there's still going to be a 100k gap there no matter what you do at an 865 item level.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully that they start shrinking those. They start putting that into a little bit better of a spot so that you don't get, like, every class is going to feel different, but there doesn't need to be this massive DPS shift. I mean, sure, the difference between an AoE class or a single target class, those should be flip-flopping back and forth in the raid composition and the raid mechanics, but not so incredibly gear based that you can be awesomely geared and still only be wanting to pull the 300k, while somebody who's mediocre can pull 400k. And so I hope that's on the horizon, so that instead of it being, class tuning, it's more class balancing. And hopefully we will get a few more answers as the time comes up. So that's 7.1. No Twitter integration. I'm sad that we didn't get Twitter integration. I was so looking forward to that, because I really think that would make World of Warcraft a better place. And I hear that they could even do that over the weekend. But 7.1 is shaping up to be one of the greatest patches of our time, I think. Other than it being like a major tier raid dropping or anything like that, this is one of those middle sort of a patches. And good God, 13 bosses in a dungeon, 3 raid bosses totally off to the side, and just in the class tuning, and a lot of it has actually to do with the PvP, because that is so lopsided right now, it's not even funny. But so what are your views on 7.1? Is it going to be as meaty as it looks on paper?
Well, I hope so, mainly because I really think I'm going to love Kara. And then, again, I have no problem with them dropping miniature dungeons or not miniature dungeons, miniature raids or whatnot. In fact, some of my favorite raids are the single boss raids that were really hard to accomplish. I really enjoyed... Yeah, well, yeah, like Girl's Lair, which, I mean, heck, the trash in Girl's Lair was a boss fight, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Girl's Lair, Sartharion. Sartharion was awesome. The freaking lava waves in Sartharion were incredible.
Yep.
I can't remember the name of the other dragon, but the other dragon they released in the prison down there during Wrath. I love that. Malagos, like those are some cool fights. Like,
Malagos is still one of my top 5 favorite bosses to fight, just because of Tensor's floating discs, and that takes me back to my D&D days. So,
and I mean, some of those fights were long and drawn out. Girl's Lair, like I said, the trash was like a boss fight, and some of it was drawn out because it was a single boss, but I super enjoyed them.
Onyxia.
Onyxia was great.
Many whelps, handle it.
Magtheridon at the bottom of Hellfire Lake. Yep. All of those are great fights. I have no problem with one raid boss here, one raid boss there, 3 raid bosses here, 3 raid bosses there. Let's just make sure we keep that content flowing and don't let it become, here's 3 raid bosses, we'll see you in a year. Like, let's keep it flowing, keep it moving, and I hope. Again, we're going to talk about BlizzCon later, but I hope to see some of those announcements at BlizzCon. So,
well, you know what? I think that it's time. I think that we should finally talk about BlizzCon, because, well, we've hinted at it. We've hinted at this. Now, one of the things that we used to do back on the old show was we had these tinfoil hat moments. Okay, so we don't necessarily know or completely understand what is coming, what is going to be announced. But this is the time. This is the time where it's all of our opinions, what we think we're going to find being announced at BlizzCon. In the past, we've had some pretty bizarre responses, and we're carrying it forward here on KOD Gaming. So we're going to touch on WoW at the very end. Normally we start with WoW, but we're flipping it because, well, we've got StarCraft. Nobody has heard shit about StarCraft.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like StarCraft is almost on a back burner at this point. I don't know if we'll get any information about StarCraft. I think it'll be very minimal information about StarCraft.
Well, actually, as it got announced today, we got to see the actual unveiling of the new schedule. StarCraft has 3 panels, and
but they're not
StarCraft 2 Foundation for the Future is the very first panel, and it is happening. It's happening before Overwatch. So, what is Foundation of the Future? Now, is this going to be? This is what we're going to do with StarCraft 2, which is World of StarCraft.
See, well, they have another one that's just completely the future of StarCraft 2 AI. So, like,
yeah, I know, right?
This is what makes me wonder, like, if this is a fluff piece. I hope that it's not. Nope. I hope that they're coming out with some stuff for StarCraft, but I don't know. Like,
okay,
there's another big dog on this list that I think is going to take the cake, and we'll talk about it as we get there.
I think I know where you're going to go with that big dog, but here's what my absolute lawn prediction is. 2 weeks ago now, Minecraft Con, there was a massive announcement that was made that would have some very good implications back to Blizzard, okay? And that is cross-platform. Minecraft is going to be playable on the Xbox, on the PlayStation, and on the computer. Legitimately cross-platform. They've been talking about this for umpteen bazillion years. So when I see a panel called StarCraft 2 Foundations for the Future, guess what? StarCraft coming to consoles and playable cross-platform. Activision needs to jump out. We'll be jumping into this one very quite quickly, and they could in fact port StarCraft to the consoles, and yes, there would be some tweaking and stuff like that. Then we see things like StarCraft 2 multiplayer, and that's an hour-long panel. What more could you do to multiplayer in StarCraft? You can't. You cannot do anything more to multiplayer. And then on day number 2, we see future of StarCraft 2 AI. Well, now because it's on consoles, you have to actually change the way that the AI, that an AI would behave, and stuff like that, so that it pairs a little bit better to the handheld controllers. What do you think? Is this bizarre?
I think that you could be correct, because it's not like it's completely out there, but I'm not going to say that that's going to happen, because Blizzard has been very careful about keeping their strategy games separated, because it is so much different on a console versus a PC game. So in fact, I would hate to be the guy on a console trying to play against guys who are playing on the PC.
I know, right?
It would be awful.
I know.
But in all reality, it's definitely a possibility. And you're right; they do have 3 separate events happening, which is pretty much, besides World of Warcraft, the largest one. Like, nobody else is having that many panels. So
Overwatch has the most amount.
well, but Overwatch is Overwatch, and we all know what that's going to be. Those are definitely going to be fluff pieces.
Yes, they're probably going to be fluff pieces. But
we have an entire panel on animated shorts. Come on, let's be real.
I would like animated shorts.
Blah. Nobody wants animated shorts. And we're not talking about clothing either. We're talking about their little animated videos they do that people are like, oh, that was cool, and then nobody ever watches them again.
Yeah, and here is what I was originally before I saw Overwatch, the Overwatch panels and stuff like that. My original idea. Well, actually, let's hear what your original Overwatch idea was.
What? My original Overwatch idea?
Yeah, because I would have said, what do you think is going to happen with Overwatch? Now we're almost able to see that it's all going to be like fluff pieces and stuff.
Yeah, well, I never expected that it would be any more than that. The game is still so new. I mean, they may throw a character here or there. They may talk about what's happening next, like where they're going way in the future. But the game is still so new, we're not going to hear anything about expansions or add-on content that's anything extensive. Right now, they're busy milking people for Halloween costumes. So, I'm sorry. I loved Overwatch coming out the gate, and the game was fun to play, but the game has become a giant pay-to-play, ridiculous, like, microtransaction, just ridiculousness.
I know.
I love the game, but like that's all I hear from people anymore. Like literally, I had a friend call me the other night and be like, "Dude, Overwatch came out with Halloween costumes. We got to get on there." And I'm like, "No, I'm good.
No,
I'm gonna play some WoW." And
I don't feel that I need to have these costumes in my life. Yeah, I know. Now, what I was going to actually say, and I knew that it was pretty that it's pretty far fetched and pretty out there, that they were gonna actually add the one thing that would have made Overwatch one the best new first person shooter I have ever seen. Is a single player campaign where you actually get.
Yeah, people have asked for that. I mean, but the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because of all these microtransactions. You can't microtransaction a single player to death. Like it's.
Yeah. No, I know. I was hoping. I was really hoping, because Overwatch is still spectacularly fun. If you're not going to pay to continue to play, it is a lot of fun.
The game is fantastically fun, and I enjoyed the crap out of it for months there. Like, the game was awesome, but the game is awesome.
I enjoyed the crap out of it.
Heck yeah, I did. And I mean, the game is fantastic still today. Like, I don't enjoy. I do not and will not and cannot enjoy microtransaction games. Like it.
Yeah, microtransaction games should be left to Square Enix and on their mobile in their mobile division, and that's where they belong.
Even when WoW started doing the microtransaction thing with the pets and the mounts and stuff, at first I was kind of set back by it, but WoW is good enough to keep me playing, and things like that don't really mean much to me in WoW. I even had this conversation with a guy the other day that was telling me about like getting attuned for some special boss that you can kill and get a mount. And he's like, "Have you done it yet?" And I was like, "Does the mount make my character kill things faster? Does the mount make my character melt faces in PvP harder?" Like, no? Okay, then no, I haven't done that. Don't plan on doing it. Probably will never do it.
But I don't
have flight from the last expansion because I don't care.
Oh well, I did, however, convince you to put racing stripes on your helm, because that will make you that'll make you DPS faster. Anyways, so Heroes of the Storm. Well,
it has a thing called state of the game, and I've learned that anytime somebody says state of the whatever, it's not really a good thing.
Yeah, it really never is.
It's also an hour and 45 minutes long, which like that kind of blew me away.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap everything up in a nice, neat little package in 45 minutes. Now, this one actually I kind of find almost disappointing that they're only getting 2 panels, because I was fully expecting to find out that we were getting more to Heroes of the Storm.
But the way I look at it with Heroes of the Storm and also Hearthstone, both kind of, we're constantly getting new additions to that. So I didn't expect them to spend a lot of time talking about it, because it's not anything.
Well,
like if WoW has something new, it's kind of like, oh man, something new. If Overwatch has something new, if Diablo has something new, it's, oh man, these are new. StarCraft, something new is again like out there. But for Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm, either one, oh, this is something new. Okay, we got something like that last week. So
yeah, now I thought we would see more of what they announced last year at BlizzCon, which was the purchase of Major League Gaming, and more of the TV side of things and the esports side of things. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going to talk about for the state of the game. They're going to announce a different sort of a tournament, a different sort of a tournament.
They have an entire panel that's Blizzard College Esports too. So,
yeah,
who
maybe I don't know. I really honestly don't know. But I don't think that we're gonna see anything earth-shattering come from there. Now,
no.
Same thing with Hearthstone. We're not going to see anything really majorly earth-shattering. Congratulations. Here's a couple of more cards. And while we're at it, let's throw a dig towards the fact that Elder Scrolls Legends is a card game base too. So let's throw a dig or 5 at them for copying us, and congratulations. Screw you, Bethesda. I've never got to say that before. And but the big dog that we're hinting at is Diablo. Now, what do you think they're going to announce? Because we only have 2 panels.
Okay, so there's a few things about this. First of all, only 2 panels kind of blew me away. But if you notice, their main is an hour and 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, Legion just came out. So
yeah.
I don't think we'll see anything huge from Legion. The Warcraft movie also just came out. So I don't think there's not going to be much talk of that. Maybe besides, hey, we did really well, blah, blah, blah. Overwatch doesn't have anything coming down the pipeline anytime terribly soon. I would assume the same thing with StarCraft, unless there is a port to console, which would be something to talk about, but it still isn't something major. It's the 20th anniversary of Diablo. It is the 25th anniversary for Blizzard, and it's the 10th anniversary for BlizzCon. So it kind of all falls into kind of like a perfect storm there for them to announce another Diablo expansion. I don't think we're going to see Diablo 4 yet. I just don't, because it's too soon, I feel like. So if we're going to get another Diablo expansion, we will get it at this BlizzCon. If we don't see it at this BlizzCon, they're probably moving on to the next thing. That, and apparently there are 40 Diablo developers that are currently working on the Diablo team, and they have not really been doing any patches or things like that of any huge magnitude, which tells me there's something going on there, especially with the second panel being called Diablo 3 Dev Talk and Q&A. One, it's labeled Diablo 3 and not Diablo like the first panel is. They labeled Diablo 20th anniversary. So Diablo 3 Dev Talk and Q&A tells me that we're probably going to be talking to developers about said expansion and answering questions about said expansion. Or at least that's my hopes at this point.
So, I have a couple of far out there's. Okay, Diablo 20th anniversary. What's a better way to say happy birthday to Diablo than Diablo Remastered?
I'm so tired of remastered games, though.
Well, yeah, okay, it is the flavor of the month. Like,
I mean, it is. Like, everybody's remastering everything, so it wouldn't surprise me to see that.
Now,
I just hope that's not the case.
Now, this would pair the best out of all of the Blizzard games that we've even discussed. That hint about Minecraft and Minecraft going cross-platform. If there was to be one game that we've already seen on consoles and actually plays very quite well on consoles, and on PC that also plays very quite well, is Diablo. Sure, we do. There is a very large gap in the fact that PC players get season modes and console players don't. But that's a very simple fix. Really, it is. It's just porting it over to the Xbone and to the PlayStation, and there you go. Now, I am imagining that we are going to get the announcement of Diablo 4 and the expansion. Keep in mind that by announcing Diablo 4 and doing a very short snippet, sort of like we've seen with World of Warcraft in the past, where 2 years ago it was announced that Legion was coming, and then we got BlizzCon where they did all of the major announcements and stuff like that. With Diablo 3, they're already primed, they're already set up for the fact that they've got an expansion. First, if you have played Diablo, you know full well that you don't actually kill Diablo. And there is, during different storylines, that, you know, Diablo is actually taking on somebody else's body and yada, 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 but you don't know who it is, and stuff like that. So, those are the two major things that we're going to get. The Diablo expansion will be cross-platform, and that way they can milk the consoles for extra cash. Otherwise, it's always cheaper to buy it on the computer, and you get more content in the seasons. Otherwise, there's no reason to even have Diablo on a console, right? So there we go. A remastered Diablo 1 and 2 in today's graphics engines would be insane. And because of the fact that most of the people that have never played Diablo or Diablo 2, it's a whole new generation, thus creating extra hype going into Diablo 3 Wrath of the Lich King. Yes, I'm going to do that a lot, because the only other name that could quite possibly be even better would be Wrath of the Lich King 2, the Electric Boogaloo. You know, so
I would play that.
I think I would too, just because of the fact that I wanted to say Electric Boogaloo. Now, World of Warcraft is going to take front and center this time, even more so than normal, because we still don't know who the final boss is. We don't know the other two raids that have been announced, but haven't been given names or anything like that. We were told that we've got something way cooler than this island of Thurgabajabur, over down below. So that's why we legitimately have 4 panels for World of Warcraft. And insane, absolutely nuts. As well as, it would not surprise me if they kind of dropped a few hints as to what was coming next, which is Wrath of the Lich King 2, War of the Lich King, the Electric Boogaloo. You know, something to that nature. Yes, World of Warcraft is going insanely strong. The last report that we heard about subs, did you catch that? That they were no longer going to report subs, but then it got leaked as to how many people we're up to again?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about it when it's bad, but when it's good, we're going to talk about it, and that's 10 million.
We're gonna accidentally leak it.
Yeah. WikiLeaks didn't just drop the mic on Donald Trump. No, they also dropped it on World of Warcraft subs. So legitimately, we're up to 10 million players. That's how good this expansion is, and we still don't know who the last boss is. Yeah, we've got speculation. Who do you think is going to be the last boss, and why?
Okay, I would hope that it is Sargeras, and that it is because he is the ultimate, and we need to take him out in order to stop the Legion. But it would not surprise me in the least if it's not somebody else, so they can leave him sitting somewhere in the background to come back later and be like, dun dun dun, Burning Crusades 3.
The Electric Boogaloo.
I would hope that it is Sargeras, but I don't know that that's a for sure thing.
It's what would make the most amount of sense would be either Sargeras. He is the most obvious choice, somebody that we've never actually fought, a brand new final boss, which we didn't get last time, or we fight Kil'jaeden, and yes, I'm doing that very specifically because it's still Kil'jaeden poke, but Kil'jaeden, and this time he'll have legs, just like Ragnaros did. So he's gonna pop out. You're gonna fight him down to about 10%, and then he's gonna totally stand up and move around. Now, the other idea that one of our guild members came up with is that it would be Kel'Tharius, with all of the Moonwell and dealing with the crack addicted Nightfallen, that sort of thing. Having a Kel'Tharius tie-in. Do we know that motherfucker's dead or not? Nobody knows anymore. Now, where the ever-living crap are we going to see Rathian? They said that Rathian was going to be in this expansion. They said he was going to have some sort of tie-in. And we haven't seen it yet. How do you think he's going to play into this?
I mean, the crack addicted entire race of people is a really good way to do that.
Arc wine for the masses. Let them have cake and eat it too.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they're going to play it in. That's one of my least favorite characters in all of Warcraft. So
really,
yes,
really, so, I kind of like the millennial Deathwing, who is, you know, very kind of half transparently cunning and not all at the same time. Like, he's got some sort of weird plan, but nobody ever really knows what it is. But he's really transparent.
And I mean, up until then, like I enjoyed it, but like that whole thing with the aluminum gathering just kind of turned me off to the whole situation. Now, I would not be surprised if we end up finding out that a lot of these guys who we consider bad guys are doing what they feel like is best for the world.
Yeah.
You know, tons of terrible things are done with complete good intentions, and Blizzard is really good at that. Taking somebody who's doing something really good and like just turning them into a super bad dude. So
yeah,
like I guess we'll see like where this is headed. And
so
for me to try to tie him in here at this point, though, they could go any which direction they wanted. All it takes is one little instance or one little anything, and bam, there we are.
So here we go. I'm gonna stick to this one for a while. If they do announce, the next expansion, which is plausible, it really is actually kind of plausible, that they would announce the next World of Warcraft, because I mean they announced 7.1 5 months ago. The game had barely even released, and they announced the fact that 7.1 we were going back to Karazhan. So Wrath of the Lich King 2, The Electric Boogaloo, starring Jaina Proudmoore and Rathian. Jaina Proudmoore is pissed. She is uber pissed, misguided pissed, but pissed nonetheless. She has quit the Cure Torn, and nobody knows really what she's doing. Her entire home got nuked by a mana bomb because of Garrosh. She doesn't want to see the fact that it was Garrosh that did it and not the Horde, and wants to blame everything on the Horde. Hates Sylvanas, and guess who is the leader of the Horde? Sylvanas. Who would make the most amount of sense to help manipulate and fuel that fire? Somebody who has wanted to see the destruction of Azeroth and done by us is Rathian. That is what his goal has been all along. So she picks up the helm from Bolivar and puts it on and becomes the new Lich King, or in this case, Elsa, the Lich Queen. And instead of Sindragosa, we have a full-grown Rathian by her side, who is way more cunning than he has ever let on, and this has been his plan all along. He just needed something, which would make sense as to sending Garrosh back in time to push the aluminum gathering, to have the full breakdown of Jaina, who would do what Arthas did, what everybody else has ever been done, in order to get their point across. They will go to the dark ends of the mind to go ahead and make a 13 boss dungeon. I mean, mega dungeon. I mean, no, that's stupid. Why would we do that? To take out the Horde.
You know, you like when your thought process gets going.
Yeah.
You just get so deep in this, like.
Yeah.
It's crazy, you know that? Like.
Yeah, I know.
You just get so like. I don't understand how you like. I bet you have like details wrote down on papers, just like posted around the room, like.
No.
Where you've thought of bits and pieces.
No, actually, I don't.
Then the inside of your mind is like one of those bulletin boards you see in like the really good investigator movies.
Yeah.
Where there's just stuff.
Yeah, you know, like my mind.
Pieces of string tying them together. And like, yeah, that's exactly what the inside of your brain looks like.
Actually, when you said cork board or bulletin board, there, all I could think was the final scene of The Usual Suspects, where you're looking around and all of a sudden Skokie, Illinois shows up at the very bottom of the thing, and all of the details of Verpal going ahead and doing his lies and shit like that. That's what my brain looks like. And this is why you guys need to have the tinfoil hat. It's not because of the fact that, you know, you guys are crazy. It's so that my mind doesn't seep into yours.
See, I have my hat lined in tinfoil. That's why I started wearing the hat.
I can't wear the tinfoil.
I was hiding it from you so you didn't know that I was avidly trying to keep your thoughts out of my mind.
You put copper wire around your entire room there, so that it seems like the conspiracy theorist, and yet you're just trying to block me. I get it. I totally get it. We are anonymous. Actually, I'm just Derek. Things to that sort of nature. So I don't know. The world is now wide open with the fact that we've done time travel that wasn't time travel. By doing so, we've brought the Legion back in full force and pushing things to new levels. Because let's face it, the Legion is legitimately feeling like we're not winning. We're not winning. We're losing. And they need to do the demon invasions on Azeroth more and more, and make them a thing rather than just being contained to the Broken Isle, because, well, let's face it, that would be fucking great.
Well, I didn't understand why the expansion launching ended the invasions.
Yeah.
I thought the expansion launching should make them worse.
Yeah.
Now, I know that they didn't want people to farm their way to 110 through the invasions, but heck, just, make everyone's inventory fill up with really crappy stuff, and people will not go there.
That was last expansion, man. You can farm your garrison. Come on.
I hope that I hope that we see something that makes us feel that way. That was one of the worst things with the Aluminum Gathering, is it never felt like an Iron Horde. It felt like an Aluminum Gathering. I never felt like we were in dire straits. I never felt like the world was actually being taken over. And yes, I know there are people out there going, "Poke, it's just a game, man. Calm down." I know it's just a game, but in the previous expansions, you really felt like the Lich King was going to kill you. You really felt like, even though we made a huge mistake, Illidan was a really bad dude and was going to wipe out everyone. You really felt like these things, Cataclysm even. You felt like Deathwing was burning the world and occasionally would come through your zone and destroy you. Why did these, if anything, the invasions should become more random and more frequent, and you should be out in the middle of questing and all of a sudden, guess what? 20 demons.
Surprise!
Exactly. I don't know. I wish that it did feel more, pertinent to take these guys out and stop them.
Yeah, I agree, and so that's why these World of Warcraft panels are going to be more important than I think ever. And I legitimately cannot wait. Now, over the next couple of weeks, this is what happens. Okay. So I'm going to spill this out to you guys. We're not going to get a ton of World of Warcraft news from this point till after BlizzCon. So we're going to get to do a couple of things on the show. We're going to be able to relive some of our experiences here in Legion, because there's not going to be a lot that we're going to be able to report. So here's what I need from you guys, our viewers and our listeners on SoundCloud. I want to hear what you guys want to see us talk about. What do you want to know more about? Okay, this is the perfect time to hit us with it, and we really want to get your guys' info out there. So, Poke, why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with us? It would totally help way better if you came off of mute to do that, so that.
Hey, you're right. It totally would.
Yeah, I know it's great that you were working for the people that are lip readers. So.
That's what I was trying to do. I was going to go through it for the lip readers, and I was going to go through it. But since you stopped me, I'll just do it once. So
fine.
For those of us who want to get in contact with us as a whole on Twitter, hit us up at KOD Gaming 1. If you want to email us, hit us up at knightsofdeathbridgegaming@gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Knights of Deathbridge. And you can get in touch with me personally on Twitter. And please do Twitter, YouTube, anywhere that you can leave messages, emailing us. All of that stuff is fantastic. And you can do that on Twitter with me at PokeSoul.
You can get in touch with me at Derek_Scott.
It was very lively of you.
Wasn't that? No, wasn't that? I've been working on my radio voice for a while.
And for real, guys, like, you have no idea how much you add to our podcasts, and our ability to answer your questions or talk to you or any number of different things is fantastic. Please tell us how we're doing. Let us know via any channels that you feel comfortable doing that.
Now, one thing that I was over on the YouTubes and I was reading some of our comments. Now, I want to address those people that are looking for us on podcast. We are in the process of taking the show to an actual podcast and to have it on iTunes and Stitcher and everywhere that we can possibly do podcasts. But we want to make sure that it's a format that is as unique as we are. And so I don't want you guys to give up. We're hoping that by January is when we will be back into being able to be downloaded on your phones and stuff like that. Please make sure you subscribe here so that when we do make that announcement, you guys are already ready. You're already in the loop. And as soon as we have our RS feeds, you guys are going to be the first ones to know. We love the support. We love the comments. Our schedules have been just kind of all over the place. Apparently, Canada decides they're going to have Thanksgiving way earlier than the guys down in the States. So stick with us. We are not forgetting about you guys. We are trying to do our best to get a show up every week. Now this upcoming week, we're probably going to be on Thursday or Wednesday as well. And then if I can make it happen, we're going to be going live on the weekend of BlizzCon, because that's kind of an important thing. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So, guys, hit us up. Throw us your comments. Throw us your likes. Throw us a subscribe. And you know what? Thank you very much for tuning in, and we appreciate the patience. Poke, do you got anything?
Again, I cannot stress how much I want you guys to go and hit us up on YouTube, on Twitter, through email, on Facebook, whatever you can to let us know how we're doing. Continue giving us feedback and help us move forward, because that's what we want to do. I also do as well apologize for the sporadic episodes. We've both been very busy as of recently. Throughout this whole entire year, I've had some major things happen in my life, up to and including recently spending some time in the hospital myself.
You really want 2016 to be done, don't you?
I really do. I'm really just ready for it to be over with. But honestly, man, I went to the hospital and it was for nothing. I'm feeling fine. The doctor said I was fine, but with the current history of my family this year, I did not want to risk it. So yeah, just please, guys, hang in there with us. We love you. We do. It's not that we're trying to avoid you by not recording on Sundays. We both have a lot going on, and we want to keep making these episodes, and that's why we come and make them as often as we can find time to do so.
So I know that it's going to sound callous, and I know that I've come under fire a couple of different times for kind of either making light of your entire year or anything like that. But I've got a new show planned, and I have to wait till you go to the hospital or something else happens, and I'm just going to call it Poke Watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to update people. I'll come on live and I'll be like, and today Poke is in the hospital. He's doing okay, guys, and I know that it'll be a short run thing because 2017 is right around the corner. So, yeah.
I mean, like even recently, my wife's grandmother passed away, and that was like, it's just been one thing after another. Like it really is crazy, and I keep trying to move forward though and make light of it. And as Derek knows, some people will crack some jokes and I'll give them a hard time, but I'm just trying. Like you really got to make a choice, and I'm going to be deep for a minute here, but you got to make a choice. And when terrible things happen in your life, you can just stop moving forward and lay down and let it win, or you can keep your head up and move forward. And that's what I'm trying to do every day.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I can actually get away with even remotely having a little bit of fun with how craptastic your year has been. Anyways, guys, that you know what, that pretty much is gonna wrap us up. We will see you sometime next week, and then through the week of BlizzCon, you're gonna see a lot of us, either on Twitter or anywhere that we can possibly be, because we didn't get invited to the con before the storm, so we're not going to be there again. Anyways, thank you very much for tuning in to episode 500 of Warcraft Nightly News. I'm Derek Scott.
Poke, episode 500. This is a thing now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Ro, after he took over our show, kind of created an entirely new bit. We're going to be at like episode 6,000 very soon. So, anyways, guys, I really appreciate your guys' patience. And remember, kids, it's all fun and games until you interrupt Hillary multiple times, and then you're an internet sensation. You guys have yourself a wonderful week.